Your home for everything Pittsburgh Steelers, presented by allsteelers.com. What is up, lovely ladies, lovely gents? It is week 5 of the NFL season. This is All Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Noah Sharp. I'm joined always, or Tuesdays and Thursdays. I can't even say always anymore. Donnie's a Tuesday, Thursday guy. By Donnie Droon, the lovely Donnie Droon. Donnie, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're 1-3 and they're not looking good.
Yeah, not lovely.
Things are looking rough right now. And I think it starts with the quarterback. And I honestly think it might end with the quarterback too. But he's not going anywhere. Mike Tomlin made it very known. Ben Roethlisberger is our guy. And he has given us every reason to believe that he should be our guy. Do you feel the same way? Do you think that Mike Tomlin had some points there?
I feel like we should have known, and I feel like that's something we talked about last week. We should not expect the Steelers to move away from Big Ben. Like, the benching Big Ben is not something the organization probably would ever consider. No matter if they're 1-3, 4-0, or 4, it doesn't matter. Like, Big Ben is their guy. They're going to ride him out. And I think to certain points it does make sense, because if you're going to win a ball game, like, Big Ben probably does give you the best chance in a vacuum chamber of winning. Just even at this point is correct. I think he's a better quarterback than Mason. I think he's a better quarterback than Dwayne Haskins or anybody else you can find on the free agent market, just skill set wise. And that's not taking the offense into consideration. It's not taking the weapons he has around him, anything like that. The team they're playing. I do trust Big Ben over those guys, but it's not by a very big margin. Am I surprised to hear what Mike Tomlin said? No, not at all. Because like I said, that's something we talked about last week. And that's not even a thought that would have popped into Tomlin's head, Colbert's head, Rooney's head, nothing. Like, there's nothing to suggest that entertaining Haskins or Rudolph as the guy next week even popped into their heads. So not surprising at all. And for better or worse, Big Ben's going to be the guy for the foreseeable future.
Big Ben is that guy. Before I give you my reasoning, I want to hear from the big man himself. Here's what Mike Tomlin had to say on Ben Roethlisberger.
Mike, pretty passionate fan base here in Pittsburgh, and a lot of people want you to move on from Ben right now. What do you say to those fans that want you to make that move?
I think Ben and I have been at our jobs long enough that we know and understand what comes with it. We love Pittsburgh, PA. We love Steeler Nation and appreciate the passion that they have, and we understand the responsibilities that come with our roles. Him being a quarterback, me being a head coach, oftentimes we get too much credit when things are going well, and we're always ready to absorb the negativity of our positions when things aren't going well. That's just life for us.
I mean, he's not wrong.
No.
Pittsburgh Steelers win. They're 11-0, and everybody's happy. Happy-go-lucky, loving life. They lose 5-6. Jump ship. It's all over. Fire Mike Tomlin. Get Randy Fichtner out of here. Keith Butler. Who the heck's this guy? Ben Roethlisberger needs to retire tomorrow. They're 1-3. They win the first game. Ben looks rough. Looks real rough. That's all right. We're going to win this one out. We're going to grind it out for Big Ben here. They lose 2. Ben might be looking rough, but the offensive line. It's the offensive line. Lose 3. Get him out. Ben's got to go. Should have retired at the end of last season. Mason Rudolph's the guy. I've never seen so many Mason Rudolph fans in my whole life. I didn't think they existed. So people are like Dwayne Haskins. I thought we were over the Dwayne Haskins thing, but it's true. Steelers fans and every fan base. This is every single fan base. You got to win. The standard is the standard, and the standard is winning. Mike Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger, and this team are not doing that right now. And honestly, I think the biggest person to blame after week 3 was Big Ben.
I think whenever you look at the events that happened over the last couple of weeks, you start to make excuses, right? Like, the offensive line, they weren't able to pick X, Y, and Z up over the course of the game. Juju should have caught this pass. Chase Claypool is capable of doing this.
Which I will give. Juju should have caught at least one of those passes. But I agree. Keep going.
The defense should have stepped up here or there. And I really want to point out the fourth down call. Last week, whenever they played the Bengals, that horrid swing pass, terrible swing pass, man.
Yep.
We all got on Matt Canada for dialing up the play call, right? We all got on the offensive line for 3 or 4 of them kind of just standing at the line of scrimmage when Najee Harris was about to get exploded by 4 different Bengals defenders in the backfield on the 4th down when they needed to score. This week, same thing, same play call.
Same play.
Pat Freiermuth, wide open.
Yep.
Wide TF open. Ben doesn't even look at his direction.
Nope.
Another crucial game call that shouldn't have happened. That really weird mesh concept they ran where Juju was trying to run that rub route, and Ben threw the ball to Juju 5 yards short of the sticks when he needed that first down, and Juju just extends out like he's Stretch Armstrong.
He extended, he's still 2 yards short.
And then you see James Washington pointing for the first down in the background, and it's just what are these guys doing? What are these guys doing?
That's where the offense is right now. It's just a bunch of guys that kind of we got to step up, but none of them are stepping up, and then they're just getting lost in translation there. I'm so glad you touched on the 4th down because honestly, I forgot about it, and that's kind of where I'm going with this. Last week, Ben Roethlisberger talked, and he forgot the 4th down play. Well, he forgot it so much that he threw it again. They ran the same play. I think the big takeaway is Mike Tomlin came and did not deny that Ben Roethlisberger did not have control to change the play at the line of scrimmage there. 2 things for that. 1, if Ben Roethlisberger doesn't have control on that big of a play, at 39 years old, as an 18-year-old vet, why? There has to be a big reason why. Mike skirted around that as well as possible. He's not going to give us a reason why. 2, it was a good play call. Pat Freiermuth's wide open. And it's not like Ben almost got sacked. Pat Freiermuth's wide open. You just little ding pass right to him.
Yeah, just look.
Just first down. No. And I think we've hit a point with Ben Roethlisberger where he wants to play. And I truly, truly believe that Big Ben wants to play football and he wants to win football games. This is not how he envisioned this. And it wasn't just a pride thing. I'm going to go out on top. It was no, I need to go out on top. That's a part of me. But I don't think his body could do it anymore. Now he's got a hip injury along with the pec injury. I think his instincts kick in. And when he's dropping back and he knows man, I'm hurting real bad. He's just get it out as quickly as possible. And that's what happened in that moment. And I think that's going to happen a lot this season because it's not like they're not going to run into those situations. And if he's freaking out, if he's scared, what's the alternative? The alternative is Mason Rudolph. Does that make it better? Does Mason Rudolph make this team better? I think you've already said no to that.
No, I don't think anybody makes this team better. I think you gain the ability to move a little bit better, laterally in the pocket. Mm-hmm. I think you gain a younger, fresher presence at the quarterback position that might be more willing to take a couple more shots downfield. But if Mason Rudolph doesn't have time, and Mason Rudolph can't take those shots downfield, and the same goes for Dwayne Haskins. And I've seen a lot of people harp on, how Dwayne Haskins is the guy moving forward for this team and how he perfectly fits Matt Canada's offense. Dwayne Haskins is not by any stretch of the imagination a mobile quarterback. Sure, he can move around the pocket. He can extend plays with his legs. And at this point, he is probably the most mobile out of the quarterbacks active for game days on the Steelers. But I think I saw today that Haskins ran a 5.1 coming out of the combine.
I will say
not fast.
To attest to that, he is much faster than his 5.1 40 time. Just watching him in person, seeing who Dwayne Haskins is, I'm telling you, he's much faster than 5'1". He's got legs. He's mobile. He's not super mobile, but he's much more mobile he's probably a little bit more mobile than a mobile Ben Roethlisberger.
I would prime.
Yeah, he definitely moves better than Ben. He's not as big. Ben, made a lot of plays just avoiding tackles, but Dwayne's probably quicker. He's probably swifter on his feet than
I would agree with quicker. Yeah, I think quicker might be kind of the best way to describe that. And end of the day, though, I think this all goes back to if Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins were as good as people thought they were, Big Ben wouldn't be here right now. Dwayne Haskins would still be on the Washington football team, and Mason Rudolph would be the unheralded starter of the Steelers moving forward.
We need a ball every time that's said on this show.
Right, but dude, it's true. Am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. I will say this though, like the offensive line didn't play terrible on Sunday. I mean, the running game averaged 4 yards a carry. That's pretty good for a rookie running back who averaged 2 yards a carry last week. Ben, he got hit, but like he didn't get hit as much. I thought Joe Haig played a billion times better than I expected him to, and I think he played better than Chuks Okorafor.
Yep.
And I also don't think that the offense needs to throw deep all the time. I think Matt Canada's offense gets guys open, short routes. I think Ben just either wants to make things happen because he understands that he's constantly playing from behind, which, you know, I get that. You want to make things happen, but sometimes you're trying to make too many things happen. And I don't think the team's built for that. And two, I think, you know, if he are really that's it. But two, to the point is, if he did check down, I think Mason Rudolph at least would listen to those. You know what I mean? I think he'd understand, all right, Deontay Johnson is read 1, Juju's read 2, Chase deep is read 3, where Ben's just like, Chase is going deep, man. That's going deep. Like, that's what's going to happen here. Besides that, I mean, you're spot on with everything, though. It's Mason Rudolph. If the Steelers weren't 1-3, the Mason Rudolph crowd would be very quiet. Very, very quiet.
Here's the thing with that. And this is where it's going to like kind of come to bite everybody in the behind in the future. We're not going to get this whole like Mason Rudolph, Dwayne Haskins like debate / debacle over until next year. And I think the best course of action right now is we need to kind of face everything in the eyes. It's still early in the year. These guys have no signs of showing us they're going to turn anything around. None. I am not confident right now in this football team at all. A lot of games left to be played. I could definitely be wrong. So you roll Ben out for the entire rest of the year. He retires. You are in prime position to go get your next franchise quarterback in the upcoming draft.
There's no way the Steelers think like that.
Instead of drafting that quarterback, you take an offensive lineman, a quarterback. Either or would be great because this offense needs any help they can get. Any top-tier help they can get, I will gladly accept. But then you roll out Mason Rudolph or you roll out Dwayne Haskins for a year and you realize they're not it, but you put yourselves in a position to where you can't go get a franchise quarterback in the NFL draft following that year. And like by then, like you're going to have like a bunch of guys on the defensive side of the ball that either want new contracts, need to be re-signed, or, you know, want their deals restructured, whatever it may be. And it's like, it feels like everybody but the organization themselves wants to just get this over with, right? Like I'm so tired of hearing about Mason Rudolph. I'm so tired about hearing about Dwayne Haskins. Like it just needs to like get itself over with. And the only way to do that this year would be to play either one of the two. And it doesn't look like it's going to happen if they're going to keep rolling with Big Ben, because they're not going to bench Big Ben. And what everybody assumes to be his last year, right? Like there's no way Big Ben comes back for 2022, right?
No.
Am I crazy?
No, he definitely doesn't come back for 2022. I do agree. Like it puts them in the prime position. They'll never think like that, though. The Steelers will never approach a game going, this season's over, whatever. And honestly, they would bench Ben Roethlisberger if the season was that dramatically, like if it was looking that bad. If it was to a point where he was throwing like 4 interceptions a game and the Steelers were losing, they'd be like, okay, you know, Mason Rudolph, that's the guy we got to at least test out here. I don't think it makes them better. I also don't believe that the season's over yet. I think that TJ Watt is still banged up. I think Alex Highsmith is still banged up. And I think that Minkah Fitzpatrick, which we're going to talk on a little bit, is doing way too much. And the defense just isn't clicking right now. When the defense clicks, because like they clicked in Buffalo, and that's not a fluke game. I think a lot of people are like, oh, that was just it was week 1. Like, no, that was a good game. That was a great game by the Steelers defense. And there's names on that defense that make you believe they can do that again week by week. And also 27 points on Aaron Rodgers without allowing a big one over the top is like, it's Aaron Rodgers. That's not bad. Like, that's not terrible. At the same time, like, it's not like a Super Bowl peak. You know what I mean? If the Steelers turn this around, it's not like you're thinking, man, they're taking it all. You know what I mean? You're thinking, I don't know about this. I don't know if this is the move. If we could get anything done, I also think that maybe everything changes with Zach Banner in week 4. Maybe not. Here's the big question. If Ben Roethlisberger, who's now dealing with a hip and a pec injury, that's a lot of injuries for a 39-year-old quarterback. If he can't play this weekend, and Mason Rudolph plays very, very well against a very good Denver Broncos defense, how much changes there? How much are you just like, well, that's over, man. You had your opportunity, you lost it. And at that same aspect, if you're Ben Roethlisberger, how much pain are you fighting through in the middle of a losing streak to understand, like, man, if I take 1 week off, my job, my career can be over?
Do you want me to answer this from a organizational perspective or like what I think should happen?
No, I mean, what you believe? I guess both. I guess go both. Mix it up a little bit.
So I think Mason can go out and throw 6 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, and I still think Big Ben would be the guy whenever he's healthy. Just how the organization rolls. I mean, Big Ben's their guy. They worked out a deal with him to come back for this year. They think he's the best option right now, and I really don't see any of that changing unless something, like you said, something dramatic would have to happen. Exactly the next point, like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns to even consider starting him, to even have that thought pop in the head. Hey, this guy, he can sling a rock, man. Let's talk about it. I still think that ends in a no. And what I would prefer is, obviously there's only a short Super Bowl window for this defense, right? I mean, it's kind of been like the theme of the offseason. It's, hey, man, the Super Bowl window closing really shortly. The pieces are there right now to go make a run for it. Kansas City Chiefs don't look all that phenomenal right now. The Buffalo Bills have been kind of shaky this year. Baltimore Ravens got worse over the offseason. Like the Cleveland Browns look very beatable in a week-to-week basis. It's up for anybody's grabs. Why not us? And so if you think Big Ben gives you that opportunity, through his 18 years in the NFL, he's won many playoff games. He's shown up in very big moments throughout the course of his career. Sure. But I think people still have a lot of that 2019 season from Mason Rudolph stuck in their heads. I still think a lot of people have the magic of Dwayne Haskins, which was shown in preseason. There's no magic there. I mean, at all. I mean,
the magic that lasted in the 4th quarter against the Lions, like there was no magic anywhere else.
It's a rough time. It's a rough time to cover this team. It's a rough time to watch this team. It's a rough time to have a terrible towel in your hand, man. It really is.
It is what it is, and I think it's exciting. Like I said, I'm not over the season yet. And I think a lot of people are, yourself included, I'm gonna call you out here, like jumping ship, like it's done, it's over with, we're sinking fast.
I don't want to say it's done yet, but man, like you can't tell me there's a lot of signs left to show that they can turn this ship around.
All right, so I will, and I'll kind of I'll add some light here. 2019, which is the season you just talked about, everybody hates Mason for. The Steelers started 1-4. They looked absolutely terrible. It was over. Went on a run. Nearly made the playoffs. And get finished at 8-8, but they lost their last 2 games. They don't lose those 2 games, they're 10-6. And they almost won both of them. They're in the playoffs. 10-6 with Duck Hodges is crazy. Crazy to think about. You can't. What? Never. 10-6 with Ben Roethlisberger right now is crazy to think about. But if I had to put my money on a prime Duck Hodges, because I don't think Duck Hodges will ever get better than what he was in 2019, or an old beat-up, rackety Ben Roethlisberger, I'm putting my money on Ben to lead in 10-6. That being said, do I think it happens? If I'm a gambling man, no. But there is hope. It's still 1-3. You got to understand, the bottom of the floor here. The Steelers are rock bottom, but rock bottom's got some good company. They got Kansas City Chiefs. Until yesterday, they had the Los Angeles Chargers, who looked very, very good. 2 weeks, they could have the LV Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders here. The Browns are very hit or miss. The Bills are just hitting their stride, but teams like the Dolphins are not. There's a lot of people out there that, the Titans just lost to the Jets. The Jets. There's a lot of teams out there that you're like, man, they stink right now. Don't get me wrong. Patrick Mahomes and Ben Roethlisberger. Patty Mahomes, Ben Roethlisberger. Way down.
Yep.
But it's just to show it's still early and their chances of turning the season around are not over. And I think a lot of people look at that. Now I'm going to ask you this, and I think I'm going to regret this. Where is the peak here? Where is the peak for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2021? I mean, you're negative Nancy right now. You're going to be like 5-13, 5-12. Or they're winning one game. Go ahead. Where's the peak?
All right, so I guess I'll reveal this. Before the season started, I took the over on 8.5 wins for the Steelers. I thought the Steelers were going to have a good year. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right now, that doesn't look good. The over of 8.5 wins does not look good at all. I think their peak is 8 wins. I really think a lot would have to go right again. All the dominoes would have to fall for them again, and those dominoes, like they were in 2019, just aren't here. You know, the AFC North is a very better division than it was 2 years ago. The Steelers' schedule is much tougher than it was 2 years ago. This Hall of Fame defense we've been talking about and prepping up for this year, that's nowhere to be found like it was in 2019 through a 4-game stretch. And I think if we see the defense that showed up in Buffalo, I think we see that defense every game, I think we're talking a different story, but we haven't, whether that's to injury, whether that's about, Minka, we'll talk about him in a little bit, whether that's whatever, it's just not there. It's not there. There was a lot of like weird magic about that season that just isn't there for the Steelers this year. I don't know how to put it. My peak for them right now, probably 8 wins, and I still feel like that's kind of generous. I don't know. Negative Nancy, call me whatever you want.
No. I would thought you were first off 8. I was shocked at the 8 because I did not. And then I didn't know where you were going with the when you said they had a lot of pluses, a lot of things go their way in 2019. Like
they did.
Nothing went their way in 2019. I mean,
that team should not have gone 8-8.
They shouldn't, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, they fought their way to 8-8 because James Conner was barely. First off, he barely played. It was Jalen Samuels half the time, who's now a practice squad guy. You lost your starting safety two weeks into the season, which, granted, turned into the biggest blessing in the last 3 years. And you had Duck Hodges. Nick Vannett was the starting tight end at one point. It was a very, very bad year.
And this is going to sound asinine for me to say this. That 2019 offensive line, night and day better than what we see right now. Night and day better.
I think that was the end of it, though.
Yeah, it was. But still.
No, I agree. Night and day. And that was a big difference. I think that's a big difference with this whole thing. I'm going to be quick with mine. I'm going to say their peak right now, I would say, is 10 games. I'm going to say their peak. Now that's top of the line here is 10 games.
They really get things together.
That's what I'm saying. If they really get things together, they could easily win another 4 games or lose another 4 games. I feel like that's a comfortable amount of games to lose. You turn it around, you win 9 games. I mean, to go 9-3 or 9-4 and the rest of the season is not like that's not blasphemy to think of. So
look, you win your next 2 games, you're 3-3. You're 500.
Heading into the bye week.
You're 500. I think starting out 1-3, if you're 500, all you can ask for, you put together 2 games in a row, you're picking up a little bit of momentum, things starting to kind of click and gel for that team. It can happen.
It can happen. You go into the bye week, you get Zach Banner back. A lot of things could change. I want to talk about the defense before we head out in a couple of minutes here. The defense, I don't know what has happened from week 1. We just talked about this. They could play like Buffalo. I don't think that's a fluke. I don't think that was a fluke game. But what they've done since then has been terrible. Terrible. Minka Fitzpatrick looks lost. Trey Norwood is playing way too much defense. On Sunday, I'm going to stand by this every chance I possibly can. The best defensive player in Pittsburgh on Sunday was Arthur Millette. And I don't think that's outrageous to say. I think that it's true. What is going on with the Steelers defense? What is happening?
I think injuries kind of derailed them at the beginning of the year, but even that's not a big excuse anymore. Highsmith is back, Watt is back, Devin Bush is back. The excuses are starting to run out, and I think, is it a bad stretch of games for these guys? Yeah, probably. And, especially on the defensive side of the ball where communication is so key, just getting the play calls in and trusting the guys around you to do their job and be in the right places at the right time. I don't think that's like quite there yet. And it's so weird for a defense that, we've talked about, been together for a couple of years now. They should really know, where they're going to be at. But granted, there are a couple new pieces in there, that might be kind of throwing whatever. I think this kind of falls on defensive coordinator Keith Butler. I think that the talented pieces are there. And I think a lot of times what we see whenever, the Steelers are giving up touchdowns left and right on Sundays is just either mismatches or guys not being in the right spot at the right time. And, and I think, we can get into it right now. Minka's got a lot on his plate. And, I think for, a guy who has a fork and a knife in his hands, Minka should not have a lot on his plate right now, given how the defense is playing. And I don't think that's on Minka.
No, I don't think it's on Minka. I think I want to address this real quick from our boy Nick here. Devin Bush has been non-existent, and that sack pass. First off, that sack was very easy to make. Yep. However, Devin Bush just returned from an ACL surgery, and it would have been 1 year since his surgery last week. It usually takes about a year to just like fully recover. And then that doesn't even include the mental aspect of it. I think Devin is behind, no doubt. But I think that in 2-3 weeks, we can start judging Devin a lot more than we are right now. He's working with a brand new inside linebacker next to him and Joe Schobert. That's a lot of communication to go back and forth. He's just coming off a year where he's really finally getting going. He doesn't have a starting season under his belt, if we're being honest. He's never had one. So this is the year. In 2-3 weeks, by the bye week, we can start judging Devin a lot more. Minka Fitzpatrick, I love that you said that it's not his fault. It's not on Minka. They're telling Minka to do so much, and it's leaving so much more of the field open for other guys that are trying to be Minka Fitzpatrick. It should not be Trey Norwood should never, in his whole rookie season, should never be the deepest man on the field.
I agree.
Ever. And he is constantly. Terrell Edmonds plays more of an in-box styled safety position than Minka does naturally. Yep. And yet they keep him deep and they put Minka up.
Terrible.
And I just don't look at Minka Fitzpatrick's not Troy Polamalu. And for a couple weeks ago, everybody's talking, Minka's the next Troy Polamalu. Minka Fitzpatrick is Minka Fitzpatrick. And that is a phenomenal safety, an all pro safety, probably one day a Hall of Famer. Troy Polamalu was a totally different position. He played a totally different
species, bro. He's not even from his planet.
That's what I'm saying. Troy Polamalu, for one, was basically a linebacker that was too short to play linebacker. Who was more athletic than anybody else on the field. Minka Fitzpatrick is smarter than every human on that football field, and yet he is trying to play Troy Polamalu's position. Troy was a genius, but, dude, he was like a naturally gifted, instinctive animal. Minka just knows, he could tell you every single thing that every single position on that offense is about to do before the ball is snapped. And yet you have him playing nickelback. A couple weeks ago, that sounded like a great idea. After it's happened and we've seen what's going on with it, not a chance. I think it has to go all back to normal.
Really quick, because I know time's kind of running out on this. I think the Steelers defense works best whenever Minka plays that high safety role, and Minka is kind of that last man back. Because either one or two things are going to happen. You're going to try to throw the ball deep, and Minka's going to be there. Or two, you don't hear Minka's name called at all during a game, which is a very good thing, which means that the offense is keeping things short, and then the front seven and the other guys in front of Minka are doing their job to the point where he doesn't need to intervene at all. So I really like that. And then to our point about Terrell Edmonds, I've given Terrell Edmonds a lot of slack on his podcast, but one thing he's very good at is playing close to the line of scrimmage, being around that box, filling in that box safety role. And he does that extremely well. I mean, he either led or tied the team lead in tackles the last couple of years for a reason. That man is very good at finding who has the football and bringing him down. And to kind of switch those roles and, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. And hopefully they figure that out sooner or later. Keep Minka up high, keep Terrell Edmonds near the box. And I think for the most part, good things are going to happen. You're not going to prevent every big play from happening. It is what it is. But in order to give yourself the best chance to win, I think you got to keep Minka in that like center field deep safety role.
I agree. The Steelers right now are struggling to turn the ball over. It's almost as if like they took away their best player to turn the ball over and put him up on the box and put him up on the line of scrimmage and told him to go cover all these crazy positions. Like, He can do it, yeah, but the rest of your defense isn't coming up with 6 picks. That's not happening. You got Joe Hayden, Cam Sutton, who is still not a ball hawk. He's a great coverage corner, but he's not a ball hawk. James Pierre is, I don't even talk about it. And then Terrell Edmonds is your guy. Troy Norwood is your guy that you're just like, you need to come down with the ball when it's real deep and far. It doesn't make sense to me. You're 100% right. Let Terrell Edmonds get a little bit more space. Let him have a little bit more freedom. Like the dude basically played linebacker at college, and he played it pretty well. He's not a linebacker. He is a linebacker. He plays very naturally in the box. That's basically all the strong safety position is. Terrell Edmonds has developed in his coverage skills enough where I trust Terrell Edmonds to play a zone coverage when need be. I don't trust him to play center fielder. And I would love it way more if he could play zone coverage in the middle of the field beneath. I don't understand why he's the guy that's playing deep when you have a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick who plays deep probably better than anybody in the NFL. But I'm not Keith Butler. We complain about Keith Butler all the time. And when he's gone, maybe we'll see changes. Maybe we won't. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. If we hit 1,000 subscribers, we got so many prizes, guys. We have so many giveaways.
Easy money.
Easy money. So just toss that subscribe button. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook at All Steelers Talk. And as always, follow your favorite podcast hosts at Noah Strack, at Donnie Drew, and we will see you tomorrow.